Our last video in our How to Play series for Great Western Trail Argentina is going to talk about how to play Great Western Trail Argentina solo against Pedro, the AI. Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we are going to talk about how to play Great Western Trail Argentina solo. If you are familiar with how to play Great Western Trail solo from the second edition, this is almost identical. There's a few differences, like how to choose which boat and how to deliver extra grain if possible, that you need to determine, but otherwise it's the same. Flip over a card system, move that amount, and then take the actions on the card, not on the location or on their destination. So let's first talk about movement. Just like movement is the first step in your turn, movement is also going to be the first step in Pedro's turn. So Pedro has this unique deck of cards here. They, have a similar picture, but they are built horizontally, whereas the herd deck is all built vertically. So you're going to shuffle these up and have these off to the side. And on Pedro's turn, you're simply going to flip over the top one. And the top of the card is always going to tell you how far Pedro is going to move. So in this example, Pedro is our blue player. He gets a normal meeple here. He does not have a player board like you. He has his special player board here, which is a very simplified version of keeping track of his specific workers. He also does not ever place granjeros onto his board. He will just keep them off to the side to get the 2 VP at the end of the game. Anyways, so in this case, this is very simple. This is telling you he is moving forward 3. He's going to go 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter to him where he ends his movement. He's going to take this action. We're going to talk about these here in a minute. No matter what building he's on, whether it's yours, his, or a standard gray one. Now, if he comes to a fork in the road, he is going to make certain decisions. For example, at first he's going to take the shortest path. All right, so whichever way gets him further along the Great Western Trail faster, he's going to take that route. So in this instance, going to this northern route, he would have had to do 1-2 extra steps just to pass through those granjeros just to get to the same location. So obviously going down here would have been shorter. Now, let's say, for example, later on down the road, I have placed 2 buildings right here. Well, now it's starting from here, 1, 2, 3, technically 4 to get to this building, or going this direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the same number, it's the same distance. Neither route is shorter than the other. So then what does he choose? He chooses the cheaper route. Which can he get away with spending the least amount of money on? Well, Pedro actually does not deal in money. He never takes or distributes coins in any way, shape, or form. If Pedro is supposed to pay you coins, it comes from the supply. If Pedro is supposed to pay coins to the supply, say a granjero, it just is a complete wash. So in this instance, going this southern route over my buildings, he would still have to pay me 1 peso for my 1 black hand here, but he would have to pay 3 if he goes this route. So he's still going to choose this southern route, which is going to pay me a coin. So when you're placing buildings playing solo, it's, you want to strategically think about where you want to place them, and also when you're placing granjeros out, forcing him onto routes that possibly are going to pay you coins. His last and final tiebreaker is to simply go the route that has the most of his buildings or that ends on one of his buildings. That's all pretty straightforward. So this is a very straightforward example of a movement. Let's look at some of these other cards. I did shuffle these up. That one's the same. This one, however, says he's going to move forward a number of spaces equal to his cowboys here. So if he were to have 3 cowboys in this top row, he would move 3 spaces. Right now he's only moving 1 because he's only got the one printed on the board here. Here is 2, here's 2. Most of these I think are all pretty. Here's one based on his Machinista, and I think that is most. Here's the one I was looking for right there. So this one has the X symbol. Now, a way to change the difficulty of the game is not by this deck here. This deck is always going to be the same. It's by this other deck, which is slightly different. You can see it's got some color to it. Now there's 3 of these decks, each with 4 cards. These are going to help you determine what ship he is going to deliver to when he gets to Buenos Aires. And so you can increase the difficulty of Pedro by simply changing this deck to one of the more difficult decks. You can see this one has a single star at the bottom of each one, and then it's a 1 pip, 2 pip, 3 pip, 4 pip. So this is the easy deck of 4 cards, and you're always going to start with the first card up. If it's 2 stars, it's the medium, or 3 stars would be the difficult. At the top of every single one of these cards, you can see it's going to go from 1 to 2 on the easy one, is the X. So at the beginning of the game, when this card is up, he would move 1 space, whereas later on in the game, if this card was up, this card would equal him moving 2 spaces forward. So that is movement. Once Pedro has moved, either way, even if he makes it to Buenos Aires or not, he's going to take the action on the bottom of this card, no matter what location he's at. So for example, here, you can see this is the symbol of the granjero, because it's the rainbow background with the person with a wide-brimmed hat on. Now, the X tells you he's simply going to remove from the board that granjero. So he looks to see which granjero has would offer the most coins. Again, even though he doesn't deal in coins, he's just trying to remove that from us being able to help him. Then if there's a tie, he chooses the lowest strength granjero, and so on and so forth. All of these tiebreakers are listed in the AI rulebook. They're very easy to reference, and once you get playing, it's very easy to remember them. And then here again, you can see he would gain an amount of grain equal to his X value, which changes. Let's look at another card. Here is a very similar card, whereas this one, he's going to target the same granjero, but instead of removing it from the board, he's going to place it next to his board. It's going to be 2 VP at the end of the game. A lot of the cards will look like this one, where it's going to give you a choice. It's going to be an either or with the slash in the middle. So now you're looking at what is his specialization. Well, at the beginning of the game, after you established the market board and everything else, you're going to draw 1 token from the B bag, which is only these 3 workers here, and you're going to take that token, add it to his board. So he starts with a second worker of one of these 3. That's his specialization. So for this game, his focus is going to be on constructing buildings. So that's just something you can know ahead of time, but that specialization could also change. If at any point, say for example, I keep construction workers off of this board over here on the job market, he will be forced to add other people to his player board, and he will change his specialization to whoever he has the most of. But either way, whatever his current specialization is, if it is cowboys, he's going to take the purchase cattle action. If it's one of the other 2, he actually does nothing, which can happen. Here in this instance, he would build a building. Now, in this case, he still follows the same rules. He's going to target the highest building that he can build based on the carpenters he has. If he doesn't have enough carpenters to build one of his buildings, he will try and upgrade, so replace a building by using less carpenters. Again, all of these very minor rules are in the AI rulebook, easily explained. Here's one where no matter what his specialization is, he's going to buy cattle. Here's another one where you can see if his specialization is machinistas, he's going to move 1 forward based on how many machinistas he has. But if his specialization like this is carpenters, he's simply just going to move his train forward 1 and be done. Here's one where he's going to hire a worker. In this case, he targets the cheapest worker on the board. So in this case, it would be one of these 2, and it would technically be this one here, because she is a 6 and the other one had a strength symbol, so she would have been more expensive. So he always he tries to get the cheap ones out from under you. Whereas, where's the other card I'm looking for here? I know it's in here somewhere. In this case, he's going to target whatever his specialization is. So no matter what, if a carpenter is available, in this case, he would target adding another carpenter to his board. So hopefully at this point you've kind of figured out that the symbology, while slightly different from the symbology that you deal with, is again very easy to pick up on, very easy to read. Now, there's a few things that he does a little differently than you do, and one of those is his cattle market board. So when you're purchasing cattle, you look at this board right here based on how many cowboys you have. He looks at this board. That's the only difference. He's going to maximize what he can purchase. If what is out here is not available, he will use simulate using one of his cowboys to add 2 cows to the market, and then he'll, tick back one thing. So say he has 4 cowboys, but there's no 5s out there. Instead of, immediately going after the 3s and the 4s, he will put 2 cows out, then he will target either 2 3s or a 4, depending on what's out here. So just so you know, that's what this little board is for. It's to replace this board here. When determining which cows to target, he always targets the ones that are the most victory points, and then he just keeps them in a stack off to the side. He doesn't ever deal with a hand of cattle. He doesn't ever shuffle them up. He's simply just going to score these at the end of the game. That's why when I have my cattle market here, I simply just put all my 5s together and stack the highest VP ones on top. So it's very quick for me to say, oh, he wants a 5, he's taking this one. There you go. So on top of him, purchasing cattle slightly differently, again, he does not work in coins. He simply takes cattle cards and puts them off to the side. If he ever gains objective cards, he always gains the bottom objective card or the rightmost, depending on how you have them spread out. He adds it to his little pile, and he's always going to score those points. He does not deal in exhaustion cards, just like he does not deal in coins. And when he is in Buenos Aires, he is going to do things a little bit differently. So when he's in Buenos Aires, the first thing he's going to do is attempt to deliver based on how much grain he has. So let's pull over Le Havre here. And at the beginning of the game, he may only have 1 grain. Well, that means he is limited to this spot right here. In this case, he's going to pick one of these 4s, and he's just going to take it. He doesn't gain those coins. He's just covering it up so I can't get it. But later on in the game, maybe he, say, has 4 grain. Okay? He is then, if he had this same disc set up here, he's going to maximize the amount of grain he can spend. He's attempting to spend all of it if he can. In this case, he doesn't have 5, but he has 3, so he's going to spend those 3, and then he's going to target which one of these gives him the most VP, so he's going to go here. If he had multiple discs in multiple quays, he again is going to look to see what's the most amount of wheat he can, or grain he can deliver, and he's going to target that specific city and move from there. He's going to use up all of his grain in this step, in step 1, because when he is delivering to boats, he doesn't have to pay any grain. Just like he doesn't have to show a handful of cattle cards, he doesn't have to pay any grain. That's where this deck of cards comes in. This is very straightforward. You always start with the first one, you flip it over. This is giving you your X value, and then it's giving you the first 3 ships he is going to fill. So in this first case, the very first ship he's going to deliver to, no matter what, is the brown 1, which happens to be the 1 ship way up here. All right, he's going to deliver to this one. If he makes it to Buenos Aires again, he's going to deliver to the 2 brown, which is the 5, and then he's going to deliver to the silver 1, which is the 7. Again, which ones he targets first changes based on your difficulty. Now, he's going to have these cards out until the token here passes over here and ships off the yellow ships. So if you have room, ideally you would have the cards set up like this. When you pass over this token, that's your cue to flip over this next card. And now you can see he is delivering to blue ships. When the blue ships depart, he's going to flip this over. All right, he's going to focus on purples. When the purple ships depart, he's going to focus on simply the ones with VP. So he's going to target one with 7, one with a 7 or a 9, and then the 12 pointer, which is Mr. 18 here at the bottom. And these will appear once these other ships depart, and you replace them with some of the non-departing ships with just VP on it at the end of the game. Once he has put his disc on a ship, his disc just come from a stack here off to the bottom. Again, he doesn't have a player board to upgrade or worry about that. So he doesn't care where they come from or whether it's black and white that he's putting it onto. Once he goes through steps 1, 2, and 3, he's going to come here and he's going to put out the bottom one of each column. So he's going to put this blue one out. He would put that right here. He's going to put this guy out next. So that would go right there, pushing this token down. And then he's going to put out this cowboy right there. These are all going to push down, and then you draw from the bag to refill. And he goes back to the start of the trail. That is it. So you can see at a glance whether or not he's going to push this token down or not, or how quickly he's going to push this token down. You can see which farmers he's going to be putting out onto the board. Also, if he is working along the path and he comes across a shortcut that he can take, he's going to take that shortcut to get to Buenos Aires faster. He's never going to traverse the other locations just to stop at an additional location before he gets to Buenos Aires. He always takes the fastest route to Buenos Aires. This is a complicated game, and this seems like a complicated AI, but I promise you it's very quick and very straightforward to manage. You simply flip over a card, you move them, you take those actions, and you go. I briefly mentioned this earlier, but if he gets to Buenos Aires, say he gets to there on this action, so he gets there on 3 movement, he's still going to take this action. He's still going to remove a granjero from the board. He's still going to gain some wheat or some grain, and then he's going to take the Buenos Aires action. So every time he makes it into Buenos Aires, he's going to kind of get a double turn. It's all balanced in the end. It all works out. So that is going to do it for our How to Play series of Great Western Trail. This was covering just the How to Play against Pedro, the solo AI. If you have any questions specifically about Pedro, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you have additional questions about how to play anything of Great Western Trail, be sure to check out my other 2 videos where I cover just the new stuff and an entire how to play video for everything for new people. Those 2 have already been released. If none of those questions, if your questions are not answered by those 2 videos, again, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer your question. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.